Welcome to season 9 of the Parenting Aces podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and this is our last episode of season 9, our last episode of 2020, which cannot end fast enough as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way, but I thought it was only fitting to end our season with Coach Todd Widom and his partner in crime, Coach Pierre Arnold. Those of you who've been following the podcast for a while, you've seen Todd on here or heard Todd on here many, many times, but rarely do we get the opportunity to hear from Pierre as well. And Pierre was Todd's coach when Todd was coming up through juniors and developing as a player. Pierre is from Argentina, as Todd has told us many times. Oh, and y'all are seeing my little RoboVac in the background. And my dog Sully is somewhere around here, so you may see him too. So sorry about that. But anyway, Pierre is from Argentina, has trained many, many, many players all the way through from beginner to the pro tour, and has so much experience coaching and developing players. And so it was Todd's idea to bring Pierre on for this last episode of the season. So without further ado, and I'm not even going to do any of my normal plugs now, y'all have several weeks to catch up on any episodes you may have missed. But for now, let me bring on Todd and Pierre, and let me unmute y'all. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm great. It's so nice to see your smiling faces.
Good to see you too, Lisa.
So, Pierre, I'm just going to jump right in with you. And Todd, we've heard from you. Everybody knows your thoughts on junior development, and you have been so forthcoming and such a straight shooter with all of us, and we appreciate that so much. But what a cool opportunity to get to talk to you, Pierre, about you can tell stories on Todd. We'd all love to hear those, but also, what is your philosophy of coaching? Why have you had such incredible success developing tennis players all these years?
Well, first of all, you have to have a passion for it.
Yes.
You do like have a passion.
Todd, we're cutting in and out a little bit. I'm not sure if that's on your end or my end.
You hear us?
I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear. So basically, I was saying that it's about, I have passion to teach. I enjoy teaching. I want to make sure that wherever I teach, is going to get the best out of me. The best instruction that I can give. So, carry a lot of emotion into my teaching, and I enjoy it.
So what is your philosophy of what junior tennis development should be?
Well, junior tennis development, it starts at a young age. You got to start, obviously, the first steps are around, 5-6 years old. But I think as the foundation, whoever's going to coach that kid at that moment really has to, introduce a very good foundation, technically, and teach him how to have eye-hand coordination and movement and, but basic, all those basics, it's going to be a very good, solid foundation. Then, as he progresses, he's going to develop better and better.
So you grew up in Argentina. We know that in Argentina, soccer is extremely popular. Just kids kicking around the ball on the street, pickup games. Almost every kid plays soccer at some point in their childhood. In countries like Argentina, America, we tend to put our kids in one sport and expect them to specialize very early on. How important is it, in your opinion, for kids to be exposed to different sports, different types of physical activity in their younger years to help them then develop into their sport of choice as they get older?
Well, I think it's very important. I think that between the ages of 5 to 8, you put your child in different sports, soccer, basketball, swimming, because all you know you have that you,
Todd, we're cutting out again.
so you know that's you just have to have good mobility and eye coordination, and you know you got to try different sports between the ages of 5 and 8, and then you can decide, well, I'm going to be a soccer player or a swimmer or whatever. But
Mhm.
yeah, very important.
And so when you get a child, let's say they're just starting in tennis, in your opinion, where do you start? What are the first things that a kid needs to learn?
Well, if I'm not a kid at 6 years old, I'm going to obviously buy size racket at that age, and then buy ball at that age, and you know how to grip the racket, and then just to turn sideways, take the racket way back, and watch the racket hit the ball, and then pull the racket right, to where in front of them. Very simple. Straight back, watch it, straight forward.
Mm-hmm. So no shape at that stage, just making contact with the ball.
Yes, exactly. Just making contact with the ball. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so once they get that down, that very beginner, skill of turn sideways, take your racket back, make contact, follow through. At what point do you say, okay, this child is ready for the next step? And then what is that next step?
Well, I evaluate that next step when I see, obviously the technique has to be very good, and then the amount of repetition that they can do. Because this is a game of retention and of repetition. You got to retain what you learned, and what I've seen is that again, if the foundation at a young age, from the ages of 5 to 8, is not a good one, then you're gonna have problems longer on. Again, your development is going to have problems. So the first 3 years is very important, and I think that it's just a matter of seeing how the kid concentrates and how well he can retain what he learned on a daily basis, and then
right.
Hitting a million balls the same way on the same spot.
So that next step, let's assume that they're making progress with making contact with the ball in the right position and all of that. Then what?
Well, then you have to work on footwork. You got to teach them how to move, because it's a game of movement. So you got to teach them how to be able to have that distance to the ball and how to get in position to hit the right way. So you have to work a lot on the feet.
Are you a follower of the red, orange, green ball progression to yellow ball tennis?
I go back to rally ball. That's where it all started, in rally ball.
Yeah.
I did a workshop. We had 30 coaches from around, Miami and Dade and Broward County. We did it at Pembroke Lakes Racket Club, and we did a workshop on how to introduce rally ball to the tennis community. And from rally ball, then you have the pathway, USDA pathway.
And do you feel like that's the right progression for most children?
I think it is. I think it is. From the ages of 6 to 8, I think it is. But once the kid has that a good eye-hand coordination, he can move well, and he's got a good idea of all that, then he should be playing with the regular ball. I grew up with a regular ball.
Yeah,
Me
too. We're old school, Pierre.
A big ball, and played on clay, and I started playing when I was 6, but I didn't get started really taking it seriously like I was 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. And then by 11 I was number 1 in Argentina. So it was a lot of balls, and you had to constantly moving and adapting your game especially on red clay, right?
Right. So what's the parent's role at that stage of development where a child is just being introduced to the game, just starting to learn some technique and some movement? Where does the parent fit into all that?
To me, the parents should be, first of all, they should be very positive about what their child is doing in any sport, and enjoy it and enjoy the moment, because that moment goes very
like that. Yeah.
fast. And let the coaches do their job. And I always say, it's like, if I had to go to a doctor, I'm not going to tell the doctor how to operate me.
Right.
Or if you're bringing your child to me and you trusting me that I'm going to make sure that I'm going to develop your child in the right way. So that at any age, at 6, at 10, 12, 14, 16, you should go. The parents should just enjoy the moment of your child, that he's having a great experience in that sport, and let the coach do their job.
Right. Todd, are you sitting there? I want you to chime in on some of this.
I'm right here. I'm watching Pierre, enjoy himself with you. And I was laughing because he grew up with wooden rackets and I did not.
Well, I did too. So
a wooden racket, and you better have some good eye-hand coordination to be able to hit the ball.
Yeah, it's not so big.
I'm right here. I'm wide
okay.
Right here. You don't have to worry.
Okay, good. Pierre, tell us about coaching Todd. What age was Todd when you first started working with him?
Well, he came to Wallaby in Sunrise when he was, I think, 10 years old.
He's old.
I forgot.
1989, 6 years old. He was my second tennis coach. He was my first serious tennis coach.
Okay.
Or with a recreational coach. Now,
I forgot.
He's no spring chicken anymore. But now start asking him what it was like and how
That's a long time ago, Todd.
pain it was for him to train me for 20 years.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going. So you started working with Todd when he was 6.
Right.
What kind of foundation did he already have when he got to you, or did you have to start from ground zero with him?
No, he had a good foundation when he got to us. I mean, Sean Fred did a great job with him. I mean, he really, Todd had a very good foundation, a good eye-hand coordination. He knew exactly where to position himself in the court. He could anticipate the shots, and one of the things he did, he studied the game. He studied all the other players that we were training at the time. I mean, so Jay Berger and those guys. I mean, so he was looking at those guys and saying, I can do this. So. Yeah.
What did you see in Todd that made you realize that he had the potential to play at a high level as a junior, as a college player, and even as a professional player?
The tiger, the fight, the hate. I hate to lose. Mm-hmm. I want to beat you so bad.
We hear that a lot, that in order to be successful in this sport, you have to hate losing more than you love winning.
Yes. Yeah.
And you saw that in him at a young age.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so what was he like as a young player? I'm assuming he was pretty feisty on the court.
Yes. Yes. No, he found a way to beat you. If things didn't work, go his way. I mean, he was going to find a way to beat you. He's going to a soft spot on you, in your game. So, and he followed, the strategies that we had. He followed them really well, and never gave up, never, just tanked the match, or he got mad, normal, but he was the type of kid that he got mad, and the next point he was ready to play. He was ready to beat. So
is that a trait that you feel like can be coached, or is that hate of losing and that problem solving in the moment, is that something that somebody is just born with, or can you develop that as a coach?
I think it's both. I think it's the emotion that he has, and that feeling, I don't want to lose, I'm going to try to beat you really bad. That's in DNA, but it has to be managed. It has to be channeled. It has to be coached. Okay, you got mad, but don't let it. That anger, it should not cost you 2 or 3 points. It cost you maybe. You got angry. Okay, that's it. The next point, you better be ready to play. And that's what he had. He didn't stay angry and lost then suddenly a whole game, for no reason. So
how do you manage that in a young player? Because I think that's really challenging. I had a kid who was very feisty on the court, and I had a hard time managing that.
Well, the way I did it with Todd was, obviously through all the drills. I mean, I put a lot of pressure on every drill that we did, because it was like, we're playing a point here, and you got to value that shot. And so, I mean, many times he thought that he was playing great, and I said, no, you got to play better than that. So yeah, it was a challenge, but it was good.
And so staying with him for 20 years, that's really not the norm in junior tennis development, at least not in this country, right? Most kids go through a whole battery of coaches during their junior career. What do you think set your relationship with Todd apart? What made y'all stick with each other?
Well, I think it's the belief. I believed in him, and he believed in me, and it was that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's just that trust. Didn't matter what, we were gonna motivate each other and respect each other and do the job that we're supposed to do, and take it to the next level every time.
Did you have that with other players as well?
Yeah, I did with Daniel Yu. I coached him for 10 years. And then there was another player, Jeffrey Zaka, that I coached him for 10 years. And Jeffrey ended up going to University of Pennsylvania. Then, Todd, was involved with that too. So, yeah, I mean, I've had, I had Gina Suarez, that is the assistant coach at University of Virginia. I was with her for 5 years, so yeah. Most of the success that I've had with the players, I've had long relationships. Never had a player for less than 6 months.
How important is that, do you feel, to a player's ability to reach their potential in this sport, to have a long-term relationship with a coach like that?
Well, I think it's very important, because I mean, you really get to know each other's character. And how you think, how you feel, and I mean, even today, I mean, I don't say, Todd looks at my face and he knows already what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So it's a great feeling,
Well, to take things from a coach-player relationship to business partners is very different, right? I mean, that's a leap, and it's proving to be very successful for the two of you.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm having a great time. Because I work for him basically, I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I'm in a point in my career that I just enjoy the teaching, and and I go, what kids I'm going to have today, and he tells me, and okay, and I do my thing, and that's great, and for him it's great too, because he knows that we're going to develop the player.
Right. If you look back over your coaching career, are there certain things that you did over the years that you think, gosh, I really messed up with that one. I wish I could go back and redo that. And if so, what are some of those things?
No, I never had a player that I felt that I messed up. I mean, every player that I've trained in my career has gone to college with a half a scholarship or better, and really in my 37 years of teaching, I never had a kid that I go, wow, it was my mistake, I messed up.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have a situation where you had a player that you saw great potential in who just didn't have the drive to reach that potential?
Yes. Can I say the name?
No.
No. Okay. No.
And I mean, what do you do in that situation? Is that a situation where maybe the parents get involved? Do you look at using a sports psychologist?
I'm not going to give you the name of the player, but
No, don't. Yeah.
Situation that, you work so hard and you see the potential and you had great results and, and you go, wow, you exposed him to the pro tour and he's done well. And he's played with many, top professionals and he's done very well. And suddenly now, I don't see that his passion has disappeared. His feeling of I want to be better, I want to be really good is kind of, fizzling out, is disappearing. And that's what's disappointing. When I see somebody that has a gift and he can be very good at it and not taking it all the way up to the highest level they can reach.
So what's your role in that situation?
Well, I mean, you talk to the parents and you discuss it, and you discuss it as a group with the parents and the player, and and you say, okay, this is what we see, this is your potential, this is what you should, the way you should go about it. And but when it doesn't come from the player, when that player doesn't have 100% passion, then it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter. You try, it's not going to happen.
And I think that's an important thing for our listeners to hear, right? That it really does have to come from the player. It doesn't matter how great the coach is. It doesn't matter how much the parents push. If the player doesn't want it, it's next to impossible for them to reach the highest level. I
agree totally. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. At one point, the player has to make that decision. I want to be, really, I want to be a pro and I want to be top 10 in the world, or I don't have it. I don't my lifestyle.
Right. And it is a choice. It's a tough choice. Yeah. It's not an easy path.
I'll give you an example. I mean, one of my brothers, Patricio, that lives in Brazil and has a tennis academy, and is the associate director for the junior development for Brazil. He went to Georgia, played, number 2 for Georgia under Dan McGill and Manny Diaz.
Wow.
Al Parker was playing number 1. And he got to the finals of NCAAs. He went on the tour right after that for 8 months. And after 8 months, he got to, almost like 150 in the world. And he called me, he said, I'm done, I quit. And I said, why? He said, I don't like this lifestyle. I don't enjoy it. It's I don't like the traveling. I don't like it's just too much. My life. I said, well, then you're good.
But he went into coaching and he's having a successful career as a coach.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And he's giving his gifts to up and coming players, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
So, I mean, it's not for everybody. And like I said before, I mean, the parents should enjoy every moment of what, how their child is developing and not stress out about, anything.
Yeah.
Because it's a period of time.
Easier said than done.
No, believe me, I know. I've after 37 years of, coaching, I've seen it all.
Right.
Oh,
So when you were coaching Todd, let's go back to that. And Todd's talked a lot about the fact that he came up, Jay Berger was training with you guys, and, he was watching Jay achieve all of these great things in his junior career. And how important is it, do you think, for young players to have role models within their training environment?
Oh, I think it's great. If you can have it, it'd be great. It's great because those younger kids are just seeing, how the older kids, are training and what they're trying to achieve. Yeah, no, it's a great atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. And I know one of the things you and Todd try to do at your Not an Academy, your program, is you try to bring kids together that you feel fit into a culture that the two of you have developed, right, for training and that they have a mindset about what they want to do, how hard they want to work, what goals they want to achieve. But, one of the things we hear quite often is parents saying, well, my kid's the best one at their academy, and so there's not really anybody for them to train with. Or my kid, every time the coach puts them on a court with kids that are way less good than they are, and so it's just a waste of time for them to be there. What do you say to that?
Well, to me, is where you're going to manage your training. We have a hitting partner. We bring in other players that we invite to play matches or to be sparring train, and but it's the main thing is also that the kids have to be humble, and they got to learn that's
tough in tennis, right?
Right. You got to climb the ladder, and you got to be humble, because at one point, they were in that situation that, they were not that good. So they were against somebody else who was better. So, whereas you got to, play it back a bit and say, you know what? Okay. If I'm a coach, I'm not going to put, that weaker player with a better player every single day, but that wouldn't be fair. But I would say, you know what? Once a week or once every 2 weeks, you guys hit a bit. Let's see. Give yourself, be humble and give it back a little bit, because this sport is very selfish, and people are very selfish about it. And what we try to do is that, to give an example, like today, we have a girl, that is top 10 in the state in the 14s, right? And we have she's 14, and we have a girl that just turned 12 from Louisville. And I said, you know what? Let's see. Let's give it a shot. And actually, it was a very good training. They both enjoyed it. They both did very well. And it was good.
The philosophy seems to be that whenever you have an opportunity to be on the tennis court hitting tennis balls, there's something to learn, right?
Yeah. I can have a good player, like this girl, say, okay, you're going to be at the net and volleying, and you're going to get the most out of it, with the volleys, and the other girl, you got to hit the ball right back to her, and you got to hit more than 2 balls in a row. Don't, then you know what? Mentally, you're not ready for this. So, I'll bench you. I expect certain standards.
Yes.
So, you haven't the weaker player has an opportunity to play with a better player. Good. Take advantage of it. If you don't take advantage of that moment, I'm not going to give you that opportunity again. This is like examination. You got made an A or you failed.
Yeah. It's pass fail. There's nothing in between, huh?
Then I'm going to grab the basket, and I'm going to go back to drills and put all my drills, and just drill you till you hit the ball the way you're supposed to. And then I might give you a second chance and see if you can handle, the drill with a better player.
Right. So, How important is playing tournaments to young juniors as they're developing?
It's important, but it has to be scheduled. It has to be managed properly. You can't have a kid play, 3 tournaments or 4 tournaments in a row. When all the kids that I train, I said, you only play 1 tournament, maybe 2 at the most in a month. And that's it.
Because
it's you need to develop, you need to work. And so if you're playing tournaments every single weekend, you're putting a lot of stress in the winning and losing. And so, you're not really able, you don't have enough time to develop, to hit, if a kid can hit, 7 shots in a row in a certain spot, okay, we're having a good week, right? We're training really well. Okay, let's play a tournament. But that means that after that tournament, you got to train again. You don't play every single weekend. You just can't. It's just too much stress. they don't develop, that you cannot fix things. I mean, it's just you're thinking about the winning and losing and the points and the UTR, and it's just not the way to go.
It's interesting, and I don't know if this is different in Argentina when you were coming up, but in this country, there's a huge stress on playing tournaments, right? And getting those ranking points or making sure your UTR is going in the right direction. And we have lots and lots and lots of tournament opportunities when we're not in a pandemic. Lots and lots of tournament opportunities every week, it seems, depending on where you live in the country, of course. But was it like that for you growing up? Because when I was coming up, it wasn't like that.
Oh, when I grew up in Argentina, I played one tournament a month, and the rest of the time I trained. I mean,
and what did you take from the tournament experience back to your training?
Well, I did a chart and I said, okay, this is what I did right, this is what I did wrong, and I went back to my father used to watch me play, and so my father said, okay, this is what you did right, this is what you did wrong. Go back to the coach, and we talked to the coach and we fixed it.
Mm-hmm. So you use the tournaments as a way to sort of shine a light on what you were doing well and what still needed work. And then you would take that information back to your coach, who could then help you work through all of that on the practice court.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is a very sane approach to junior development, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, it's just that I think that sometimes they complicate things too much. I mean, parents get involved and they give an opinion. It's good. It's all good, but it's too stressful. And I think that the child needs to, develop in a much more even keel form and not feel so much stress in the winning and losing. Develop your game. I mean, okay, a perfect example. Serena Williams didn't play junior tournaments.
Right.
Venus didn't either. So why don't we take that example and say, you know what, let's develop this player. Let's develop it. The child, I mean, everything, emotionally, physically, they got to develop. And until, okay, now you're ready to compete. Okay. I mean, I tell these kids, playing in the 12s and 14s doesn't mean anything. Nobody is going to remember who won and who lost. Do you remember who won the Orange Bowl at the 12 years old, 5 years ago or 2 years ago? I don't.
No.
I mean, so exactly. So the thing is to develop these kids, physically, nutrition, the whole thing. And by the time they're 14, 15, then yes, you have a player that can serve and volley, that can hit a slice, that can hit a drop shot, that can hit toss, that can hit flat, that can move really well. Then, okay, now let's compete. But the thing is that, the parents get all stressed out because, oh, I got college and, well, yeah, but they're going to get to the college.
Yeah.
Give it time.
We don't have to worry about that when they're 12.
No, exactly.
Right.
If you don't have a good player by the time you're 15, the chances of going to college are less.
Right.
Not good.
Well, one of the things that you and Todd really have kind of found a niche for yourselves is taking those 15, 16-year-olds who are behind the curve and bringing them in and helping them catch up to their peers and helping them, get to a level where college coaches are looking at them. What do you do with a child who is either coming to the game late, and, we hear of that a lot, or who just really has not had a level of coaching to get them to where they should be by age 15 or 16?
I'll be very honest with you. I worked the hell out of them. Drill, and you're going to learn how to move. You're going to know how to put, the ball in a certain spot, and you better hit, at least minimum of 6 shots in a row every day on every single shot.
And how do you kind of reconcile that with managing injury prevention, fitness, making sure that their fitness level is up to par, that their nutrition's up to par to handle that level of training?
Well, I mean, obviously, the nutrition, we talk to the parents. I go, okay, let me see what your nutrition is. Okay, so that it starts at home. Then the fitness, we teach them how to stretch, how to do their bands, how to jump rope, stretch before. The whole thing is before and after you get on the court, and then the fitness, and so we tell them, if you really had a tough day, get on the do the cold tub, right? The ice.
It's the whole gamut.
It's the whole thing. I mean, we cover the whole thing. So, but it's when we have these kids that just arrive, like you just mentioned. I mean, after the the assessment that we make, it's time to work. And some of them can take it, and some they cannot. Some of them, it's just too hard, too much for them. So, well,
yeah.
My advice to those are like, what? Well, if you decide to go to college, you're gonna have a tough time, getting accepted by a tennis coach. Because your work ethics are not that strong, that good.
And I mean, I think this is one of the challenges, right? So we have players who say, I want to do this, this, and this with my tennis. And then you as the coach will say to them, okay, that means we have to do this every day, this every day, this every day. And then sometimes the player's like, oh, I didn't realize I was going to have to do all that. Right. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe that's not my goal. Maybe I want to change my mind here. Yeah, and that's okay, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
Our training is not for everybody. And that I always, I like to make that clear, because it's not for everybody. And so if you're here, it's because you want to, you want to take it to the next level, and you're willing to sacrifice and work hard and just keep up, the demands that we ask, that we want.
I want to ask you, and Todd, maybe you can get in the shot too, because I really want to talk a little bit about how the two of you complement each other, and where you each feel like your strengths are, and maybe your weaknesses where the other one picks up. Can y'all talk about how you've kind of found your groove as co-coaches with these kids? Because I know a lot of the kids work with the two of you at different times, right?
Yeah, I mean, the kids, we interact with the kids all the time, and we talk about, every day about every single kid, what we think that, are they improving on this, or, they're not improving on certain areas. We're always discussing and trying to find a way of, what it would be the best way to make that player a better player. So, we're always communicating. I think that, the strength that, I'm a very emotional type of guy on the court, and I get into it, and and I think that I also get into it in the matches. Remember when you played? I mean, like, I can write a book about that, right? But
yeah.
But it's and he's more, I think, a little more laid back sometimes than me, and sometimes he's had to like pull my strings back and tell me calm down a little bit, you're going over the board. So which is okay, I don't mind. I think that's a good thing. But I think that's a good compliment, in that I'm more fiery and he's more laid back.
But from an instructional standpoint, do each of you feel like you have strengths? Like, I'm really good at teaching topspin forehand, and maybe he's really good at teaching the backhand slice, or do you both? You don't drill down that deep. You both just kind of work with the kids on everything.
No, because I think we have the same DNA in terms of how to hit a volley or a backhand, or so we don't differ on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a just the emotional part of it. Like I said, I'm more emotional on the court, and maybe I'm getting older, I have less patience. So, I expect the kids to, once I teach them to do it well, be, very good at repetition of a shot. So, and that's why sometimes, I get too emotional and he pulls me back and, just give it time. She's going to get it. The player's going to get it. So.
Yeah. Todd, are there times where you'll take a kid aside and say, okay, you come on my court now. You've had enough of the intensity for today, or vice versa, where you'll be working and you'll see a kid maybe taking it a little too easy and you say, okay, time to get on Pierre's court and, crack the whip?
I've definitely given Pierre some of the kids that I hadn't been enjoying that day. I say, Pierre, they're yours, or else I'm not happy right now. So I'll give them to Pierre and we'll make a switch. What you have to keep in mind is that we share the students together. This isn't an ego thing or anything. And I don't even have to watch Pierre. It's a beautiful thing. I know he's doing an unbelievable job, right? And many times I walk over to his court to see, what he's up to and how he's training a particular player, even though I've seen him train players for over 30 years. So I know exactly. I'll watch a kid hit 2 balls. I already know what he's going to say many times, right? Yeah. Training and everything. And obviously him bringing me up through all the levels of tennis and the thousands and thousands of hours that we've spent together. But, in terms of passion and everything, I hold it in a lot better than the old guy over there. So I've calmed down a little bit. I've calmed him down too.
Yeah.
But I think we complement each other very, very well. And obviously Pierre, what's so special about this man is that he's been doing it so long with the passion and everything. And I'm not seeing any burnout. He's coming every single day to work. I don't have to be on top of him to know if he's doing a phenomenal job with the players. That's the least of my concerns, right? Yeah. So it's just a beautiful thing. And I have that with my other assistant, Daniel Yu, also that Pierre mentioned, who trained with Pierre from when he was about 14 or 15 years old, all the way through his professional career. So I've really just kept this in my family because these are the guys that I love and the guys that I trust 100%.
Right. Pierre, how can you compare working with Todd and working with Daniel? Because I don't know Daniel, but, I've seen him in action on video and things like that. He's a different personality than Todd. And I'm just curious how that went and how important is the player's personality to the way that you work with them?
Well, when I started with Daniel, he's from South Korea, so it's a different culture. And I'll tell you a little story. He's left-hander, and I'm lefty too. So,
me too.
Yeah. So I was seeing him play, and he was playing more like a right-handed player. Like everything was going down the middle. There was no angles. There was no slice serves. There was, just everything very conservative down the middle. And so, this went on for like 2 months. And after 2 months, I just lost it. And I got, frustrated. And I called his father and I said, I have a problem here. I'm trying to teach his son how to play as a left-hander, and he's playing like a right-hander. And the father answered me, says, well, he's scared of you. And I said, why? Well, because he thinks that, you might, hit him with a cane.
Oh.
Do that. And I didn't know this. But actually in South Korea, the coaches have the authority to cane the kids when they don't do what they want them to do. So
wow.
I said to the father, listen, I'm not going to do that. I cannot do that. That's illegal. So, and from then on, the relationship changed. He was not scared of me, and we started to connect better. The only thing from Daniel is that, compared to Todd, is that Daniel overtrained. I would train 4 hours, and then he would go and train another 2 on his own because he was obsessed. He was like obsessed of perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
So and which was good, but it's also bad because it when you overtrain, your body gets tired and your mind gets tired. You might not know it, but as you're playing, you see it. So, but the relationship that I have with Daniel was great. I mean, I love him to death. He's a great guy, and we had a lot of success, and understood exactly how to train and what to expect from me, and the discipline, and I think that the discipline was really what connected me really well with him. Just
Mm-hmm.
of everything, of shot production, of design plays, of everything, and so it was a great experience.
I've asked Todd this before, and I've asked other coaches too, because it's a question that parents ask me, and that is, how do you know if a kid has what it takes to play high-level college tennis or have a professional tennis career? What do you notice or see that, says to you, okay, this is a kid that has it. It's worth my investment in this child. I'm going to give them everything. I mean, obviously you do that with everybody, but where there's a kid that really has that potential.
To become a very good college player or to become a professional player?
Either or both.
Well, I mean, for college, I mean, what I see is that when I see a good, the kid has good eye-hand coordination in terms of anticipating the shots, the mobility that he has, and that he hits the ball really in front of him really well, and he's got balance and good mobility and has good feeling for the shot. That to me says a lot. It says, this kid has potential,
Mm-hmm.
to go to a good college.
And what about a kid that's making that choice between, do I go to college or do I go straight to the pro tour?
Well, there's a lot of, I mean, you're talking about just the tennis part, or you're talking about just the tennis?
Well, the tennis part, but also the rest of it, because the personality.
You need to have, I mean, first of all, the kid that wants to go on the tour today needs to, have a killer instinct. He needs to have a tiger, be like a tiger. He's got to, be hungry all the time, because it's a job. And he's got to go out to work every day, and he's going to, earn a living every day. So he's going to want it really bad. He's going to have that passion that, not many players have, that they want to be on the tour. So I think that's one part, but it's also, who's your team, who's around you, your parents, your coach, your physical trainer, everybody. That's your team. And there's going to be, to take it to that level of professionalism, there's got to be a very good trust. If you don't have trust and honesty and transparency, then it's not going to happen.
And what about tennis wise? I mean, what would you need to see in a player to say, oh yeah, this kid has a shot?
Well, first of all, the mentality, the strong mentality. It's not so much about, if he has a good forehand or serve or backhand. It's the mentality that he has. Can he handle pressure? Can he handle, defeats? Can he handle success? So there's a lot of, that's what I'm looking at. The mentality, how, strong is he, under all those, scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
The best, the physical part and the technique and the forward, that is all workable.
Right.
If he doesn't have, the tiger in him and that and the passion and a strong mentality that I'm not going to lose, that I'm a winner, then you have a player. You can make a player.
Got it. Todd, what am I forgetting to ask Pierre? What do I need to ask him?
You've done a good job as always.
Thank you. But I mean, we've got a few more minutes, and I really want to make sure that I'm shining the proper light on Pierre, because you talk about him all the time with such love and such adoration and such respect. And I think this was really cool to get to give the Parenting Aces community a glimpse at Pierre and let them hear from him. But Pierre, are there any messages that you have for the parents out there that, and let's face it, with Parenting Aces, we've got families with kids that are just starting in the sport. We've got, the whole gamut of junior development, college tennis, and we've got families whose kids just want to play because they have fun with it and they want to hang out with their friends. And college tennis is like, if that happens, fine. But if not, that's not a big deal. So kind of the whole gamut,
I mean, my personal feeling is that the parents should enjoy every single moment that their child is playing tennis, regardless of the result. Is the process, the path that you're taking. Enjoy it, have fun with it. Don't get stressed out. It's a short moment in their lives, and it's a great sport. You could, and there shouldn't be any stress between the parent and the child. They just go out there and enjoy the moment. And I think if they do that, I think that they're going to be fine. Everything is going to be great. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of parents, stressed out about, oh, he's not winning and he's losing and this ranking and that ranking. And enjoy the moment from the day that, if he's 6 years old, enjoy that moment. If he's 14, the same thing. Don't get stressed out. It's just a sport. That's all.
Yeah. Why do you love tennis so much?
Well, my family is, my father was a very good tennis player. And so, I grew up, in a tennis community, in a tennis family. And I just enjoy the game. I love, how, I've seen Rod Laver play. I've seen Pete Sampras play. I mean, I think that it's a sport with so many different styles and techniques. And, I just enjoy the passion of competing, and I love teaching, and I'm having fun.
If you weren't coaching tennis now, what would you be doing?
Oh, that's you know what? I never thought about it. I mean, I never thought about if I would do something else. That never came into my mind. And if you ask me now, if I didn't teach tennis, I would probably be very depressed.
Oh.
I like what I do, and if you told me, would you do something else? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Nothing else comes into my mind that has that more passion that I want to do, So
Yeah.
For me, it's just, I'm having a good time doing it and enjoy it. And, it's, I hope I can do it. I don't know how many more years, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Right. Todd, what about you? Why do you love tennis? I've never asked you this.
Well, for me, it's some different stages in my life, right? I mean, I love to compete. I love to train, but I really love to compete. Now, the training was tough. It was really tough. This guy right here, he trained me tough. But, for me, I really love to go to tournaments. It was very exciting for me. I love to have my mother sitting there watching me play. I love to have Pierre there when he could come and watch me play. I love that support. But now that my playing career ended, it'll be 11 years after this Australian Open coming up. But now I really enjoy passing my knowledge onto the juniors. And so that's why I started, what I do now, my small private schooling in South Florida. That's why I started it. And that's why I really don't have a tennis academy, because the students that we train on a daily basis, I thoroughly enjoy spending my hours with them. And so I'm not sure if I had masses of kids that I would really enjoy spending my hours with all of those students. So these students that we have on a daily basis, those are the ones that we really love to be with, because they respect us and they have discipline and they're open to us coaching them, and we have nice communication with their parents. And so it's a really nice scenario for us to pass our knowledge on to them as well as their parents. That's the joy, right? If I was pulling teeth all day with juniors, I don't know how enjoyable that would be. If kids weren't giving us full effort and really respecting us, I don't see that being very enjoyable for us. So in respect to Pierre, as well as Daniel, and then myself, I've really tried to bring in students that really do complement what we're doing on a daily basis. And it's also what's most enjoyable for us, you know, for all these hours that we're actually spending with these select students.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have created something really special down there. And, you know, the families that I talk to who have brought their kids to you have nothing but positive things to say. So you're doing something right down there in Florida.
Yeah, and I'll give you a little another note on the parents. Because Todd, you mentioned your mother, you know, went to see you play, and I used to, you know, watch you play too. You know, first of all, her mother and I never sat together. I was in one side of the court and she was on the other. Two,
my mother was a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
But during the match, but after the match, you know, she never went over to Todd and got stressed out with him and said, "Hey, you played so bad," or this, you know, negatives. No, okay, let's go home. That was it. We're done. You know, and so that gave me the chance to, you know, talk to Todd and discuss, hey, this is what happened. This is what you did right, what we did wrong. But she never, you know, went to him and really, you know, give him the checklist, you know, at the tournament or even on the drive home or even at home. That's what I'm trying to tell the parents. The tennis, leave it to the coach. When you come home, talk about something else. Don't talk about tennis. Talk about life, school, whatever. But, you know, because the kid is already stressed out as it is, of being on the court for 2 hours training, and if the parent, you know, keeps talking about it, it becomes too negative. It's the same thing when the kid finishes a match in a tournament. If he loses, you know, the parents should just give him space. You know, no problem. It's okay. You know, but don't you know, give him the whole checklist of what you did wrong in that match. Let the job be the coach. The coach should do that job, not the parent. The parents should just enjoy their son, being their son, and being proud that he made the best effort, and, you know, he won or he lost, but it was a great effort. That's it.
I love that. That's great advice, Pierre. This is why you're the man.
No,
this man has a lot of experience.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank y'all so much for chatting with us. And I want to just let our viewers know that if they want to reach out to you guys, it's twtennis.com, right, Todd?
Yeah, the email is todd at twtennis.com. My website is twtennis.com.
Right. And those two things will be in the show notes. And Todd is always posting videos on Instagram and on Facebook. So if you're not following him, you need to be. And Pierre, I don't know when I'm going to see you again at a tournament with this crazy pandemic, but hopefully soon.
Yes, I'd like to see you again. Yes.
Y'all need to come out to Southern California now.
Oh, we'll go for the Easter Bowl.
There you go.
Hey, for all the parents out there, this is my traveling coach. The young guys home and Pierre gets to travel.
Because the young guy's got young kids at home that he's got to take care of.
That is correct. That is.
Well, I appreciate y'all. What a great way to finish season 9 of the podcast. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and all the best to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa. It was
Thank you.
a great show. Thank you.
Thank you. And to my listeners, thank you all for tuning in. This is it for season 9. We will be back in January with season 10 of the Parenting Aces podcast. Have a great holiday season, everybody, and we'll see you in a few weeks.